everybody, to another episode of Empowering Single Mothers. I'm your co-host, Lisa McHale, and our lovely co-host from California is Wendy Bloom over here, and we've got our guest for today, Carrie Arand. Wendy, tell us what we're going to be doing today.
Well, today we are going to focus on gratitude, specifically on how we raise our amazing children, whether it's with co-parents or a community. And I'm really excited to hear what Carrie has done in this area.
Yeah. So Carrie, tell us a little bit about yourself and let's dive right into the gratitude, the practice of.
Perfect. My name's Carrie, and I'm a mother. I'm a yoga teacher, and I'm a lifelong learner. Mother to 2 boys, 3 and 5, insanely busy and so creative. And I learn from them every day, and they are my greatest teachers. Yoga teacher, just opening a new business, Country Cabin Yoga. I've had to practice some resiliency through pandemic, opening a gym, and I've looked at the evolution of where this is going, and I'm also starting a YouTube channel, as well as lifelong learner. I'm in the practice of yoga to keep myself in that growth mindset, as well as I take a lot of personal development courses and really believe that going in is where you find all the answers.
That's awesome. So Wendy and I often talk about gratitude. I know that when we've done our trips, she will bring home decor for the hotel rooms that say gratitude, right?
Yes, I do.
At that, right? So gratitude is a huge practice for us, and yes, through personal development. Really interested in hearing how that practice has enhanced. Hi.
There you go.
Hi. Cute.
So
Of
sweet.
course.
So cute. But no, it's nice for them to see what we're doing, right? Sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the practice of gratitude, Wendy, do you want to kick off with an example of why you bring those things with us, or wherever you go, and then we can just start talking about what we're grateful for today.
I mean, for me, I think that reminders and triggers are things that are really helpful, especially in moments where maybe that you're going to be outside of your comfort zone. Having something that you can see and have an immediate reminder to center and be grateful for whatever it is you're going through.
Yeah. Let's say hi.
Amazing.
Gratitude for his innocence and that hug that she got.
Yes. Even in this moment, I know historically, I think before I would have been rubbed, right? I would have been like, oh my gosh, I'm in the middle of something. This is the norm now, right? And so there is a certain amount of gratitude that I have that the kids can just be kids, right? And the posturing and the masks are gone, and it's just you're stepping out, living your best life. So Carrie, I know you had some pretty specific things that you wanted to discuss around gratitude and your practice of gratitude and how it's gotten you to where you are today.
So I am so grateful, that this is happening. I think that through shares, we are able to we're able to see in front of us people who are going after what it is that they want, whether it's effective parenting or a dream job or a dream salary or whatever it is, or inner peace. And so I think that when I involve myself in shares like this, I also get permission to go after what it is that I want myself. I also, with the co-parenting experience that I have, I've learned that it's so great for me. I have my children about 60% of the time, and I'm grateful for that 40% so that I can go away and do the self-care that I need to focus on in order to practice self-love and in order to model self-love, so that my children don't hear me talking about it all the time. They see me doing it. So that's perfect. And I'm also grateful for what I've had to to kind of evolve into, which is letting go of the idea of having a co-parent in the home and a husband in the home, a partner who is right there in the moment, in the emotional moments to bounce something off of. And my support network has evolved to be one of many great people that I call or that I meet up with in order to get what I want out of the parenting experience for best experience for myself and my children.
Yeah, I love that. I love the definition of co-parent that you come up with. For myself, I will say I have her 100% of the time. So with no contact whatsoever, it's a very different ballgame. So my co-parent has been deemed circle of love, right? So if I want time for myself, there is a circle of love around us where she knows that these are the people that step in. It's been comforting, and it has given me a tremendous amount of peace of mind. And it's you're grateful for the people, right? Like, that's really it. Wendy, what about you? I know you've got 3 kids. They range in age. One is legally, capable of raising them at this point. So you might want to fill Carrie in, please, because I don't think she knows your children and your story. So just quickly.
Okay. So I have a son who's 23 and daughters who are 16 and 11. And technically they all live with me. And I have one of the unique situations that you rarely see, which is that I cohabitate with my ex-husband, who is the dad of my 2 daughters. And that's by choice for their benefit. And I mean, it ends up benefiting us as well. However, it was inspired by struggles that my youngest was having with being away from me, and what that was to try and accommodate her concerns about not getting to see me for 7 days at a time. And then my older daughter, she had some emotional struggles that just us being in the same home, them seeing each parent every day, we still have a schedule week on, week off, which is great. However, every night my kids get to see me, and every morning I get to see them. And it's a rare and beautiful thing. So that's my co-parenting.
Yeah, I would really love to hear from the audience what co-parenting means to them, because I love in this conversation that co-parenting has transformed, because it does take a village, right? A community,
right,
to raise a children. So what is coming up for you guys as we talk about the definition of co-parenting?
Do you want to start, Carrie?
So yeah, I think for me, I compartmentalize many things in my life, and which makes the process of letting go a little bit difficult. I've had this idea of what a family looks like, or what my situation will look like for a long time, when really my goal is I always knew I wanted children, and my goal is to create effective humans. So what did that look like to me after I got them into the world? The effectiveness was no longer being created in the home with a husband and wife situation. And so what was I going to transition to in order to maintain my sanity as a mother, and also give them the best start? And they what I ended up kind of as I mentioned, just it evolved from being one person who needed to be responsible for all of those needs that a family has, to then being like a community, like Lisa, I've used you as a resource many times, and it's so great to have people around me who are interested in conscious parenting specifically. And I've just been able to kind of direct my energy. Like I said, the process of letting go is difficult, and it takes time. But even just last night when I was reflecting on the questions, I just had this overwhelming sense of gratefulness towards the people that I have in my life who are supporting me in that way. So yeah. That's how I see co-parenting now.
It's interesting, over the years, the different single parenthood ways that I've watched other parents, what I went through myself. And, there's a lot of people that have grandparents that help. There's people that have their siblings that help. And again, I'm in a unique situation. My first marriage, it was me 100% of the time. Basically, I had my son and his dad moved out of state. So that was one experience. And then with my daughters, having someone who was very much wanting to be a part of their day to day once they got a little bit older. I guess I should say that when we split up when they were younger, I had them about 80% of the time, and they went to their dads on weekends. And then as they got older, he wanted 50-50. And that's when we started having the struggles. And so we ended up cohabitating. I look at co-parenting as something that you do. You maximize the number of people who can positively impact your children's lives. That's what I see co-parenting as.
Wow, I really never looked at it as co-parenting ever. Like co-parenting to me is still very traditional. Like the parents are co-parenting. Like I said, following the same vibe though, I just called it the circle of love.
Right. It's beautiful.
So it was, I think if I were to say that's what it equals, then, like you, I'm so very grateful. Like you both have been around to mother my children at some point, right? Like, and claiming her as your own. And I know that we are very fortunate in the community that we are in terms of personal development and single motherhood, that we are like-minded and we do have the capacity to consciously co-parent with one another, right? And I love how, we do call on one another for anything when it's like, you really don't know what your next best move is, or you just need a sounding board. The audience is really single mothers, right? We're looking at single mothers and we want to empower them. And so with the attitude of gratitude, what is the one thing, or is there an example where you can say, I practice gratitude, this is where I was at, and this is what happened? Because I think sometimes like the power of gratitude is so simple, yet people don't know how quickly that one moment, that decision to come from that space will essentially open up every gateway possible for you to feel supported, right? Or empowered even. So if you could give an example, I'm trying to think of one too, right? But because there's so many. Yeah.
So I think for me, really when I started having those abrasive, or well, the abrasiveness was in our relationship anyway. And so mine and my former spouses. And so a huge transition for me was to, and I don't do it every day, absolutely, but to see that abrasion and that discomfort as an opportunity for growth for me. So what is it about what he's doing that's frustrating me so much? And what can I do to be my best self so that I don't like transfer some of the belief systems and programs that I've had like my entire life to them. And so again, like like shining light on what it is that I need to work on. And so again, that's something that I currently practice gratitude on, even because it's extremely difficult to have that close contact with someone and the continued kind of confrontational behavior. So it's just such a beautiful daily practice that it's turned into seeing where I can see light in those situations, for sure.
Yeah, love it.
So if I'm going to give an example, the one that comes up for me is bringing into our home. We have renamed it. It originally was called Highs and Lows, and now it's Peaches and Pits. And so every family meal, we go around the table and share our peaches and pits for the day. And it's amazing to me, the gratitude side of Peaches, allowing children and adults to think back on their day and what they're grateful for. And then also how we talk about the pits often become a peach because you learn something. And so the pit is going to grow into a peach. And it's just, that's for me. That's my example.
I love that. Peaches and pits. That's really cool.
It's really fun. We have, and the kids, you know, pretty much make sure that we do it, which is great.
Yeah, we might have to try and start doing it tomorrow or tonight.
Maybe we can do a FaceTime and have Dakota and Jordan tell Celeste about it.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
And then you can see if it fits.
Yeah, that would be really, really cool. That fits into your random acts of kindness.
Yeah.
That adds your random acts of kindness. So do you want to talk about your random acts of kindness before I do my gratitude thing really quick? Since we're there.
Yes, absolutely. That's so great. So as part of a personal development group that I'm working with, we've kind of set out this 2-week goal of having so many random acts of kindness. And when I first entered the challenge, I was thinking like, oh yeah, I can get 20 random acts of kindness over the next 2 weeks. The facilitator said, just so you know, the last group I worked with, who also had 20 participants, got 35,000 random acts of kindness. And so it's been such a beautiful evolution as to how I can step up my game when it comes to influencing the energy field that is around me. And I do find that I do random acts of kindness with my close personal friends and family always. But just having that awareness of what is the possibility in thinking bigger, like what can I actually do? And I think I'm at like 3,000 right now. So it's amazing, this random acts of kindness. And we're hoping to like keep this movement, this kindness movement moving forward. And I know, again, like I surround myself with such great people, and the kindness mission is feeling like we have a fighting chance at this point anyway. So yeah, I challenge anybody on the call to think about what they could do today that is above and beyond exceptional, a random act of kindness. So I appreciate drawing attention to that. That's so awesome.
Yeah, I think it's as worthy as peaches and pits on a day-to-day, right? Like, and when you see that, to make time for it is really important, like smelling the flowers, right? Smelling the roses, like to really call it out, especially when you're talking about empowering single moms, right? Like, I think we all come from a giver's gain concept, and that in itself will be able to switch, right? Will be a trigger to switch. And we've heard it time and time again, right? There are a lot of people who go out there and say, my last dollar, I gave it away, and this is what happened. And so when I was thinking of examples, I think the biggest one for me is the daily exercise that, you know, I was pretty consistent with it. And the truth is I haven't been doing it probably for the last maybe month or so. So a good call out there, notice, is every morning I would wake up and I would write 10 things I was grateful for, and then sending love to 3 people that I might have a grievance with. And because I wake up not always, like, you know, as a human being, sometimes you just wake up and you're like not in 100% mode. This is a one practice that I know no matter how I get up, before I put my feet down on the ground, I'm already in that heart space, right? And whatever might be weighing on me, or that I'm thinking about subconsciously, that just sort of carries with me when I take my first waking breath, it's dissipated in that three things or 3 people that I'm sending love to. And oftentimes for a long time, I was on that list, right? Like that whole, like the guilt, the shame, the whole thing that is, you know, I think we do as single moms need to be empowered by, just like, how did we end up as single moms? How did we, just like that subconscious BS that, you know, it's there. So that was probably my biggest. And when I do that consistently, life is magical. Not that it's not magical every other day. I'm just saying, like, off the chart magic, right? So that would be my gratitude practice. So anything else you guys want to cover, like for our single moms and how we're going to empower them?
There was something that you triggered when you were speaking earlier that I wanted to bring up, and that was regarding the co-parenting and it not necessarily having a box, like what it looks like. And one of the things that came up for me is like, who do you remember from your childhood, whether your parents were together or not, that impacted you, that their presence in your life, whether it was short or consistent, who do you remember? And then one of my best friends and I have this saying that, we attempt to check into, and that is be who you needed. Like, who did you need? And be that for the children in your life. When you see a child, whether it's your own or your friends or your sisters, who can you show up as that will make a difference? So that came up.
Love that. I love that.
And my heart, my hands in a heart symbol. Yeah, as it relates to parenting, the question is always like, what do you want, right? Like, as a parent, what do you want? Like, so, and it always is whatever it is. And then it always is followed by, you have to be that. Like, how you want them to be is how you need to be, right? So it's the mirror image and two dualities, right? The past. So it's funny that you say that, because I was actually even thinking about my parents and how their absence, right? Because they had both passed by the time I had Celeste. It's like, even in their absence, there is profound gratefulness, because, I often hear about how sometimes parents interfere with child rearing, right? I'm like, I don't have that. So I guess that's a good thing. I mean, there's also the other side of it where she doesn't have any like grandparents, or biological grandparents that are around. But I mean, there's always something to be grateful for, right? That she's got that love that includes other people's grandparents.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else for you guys?
I really love that reflection. Absolutely. That's a great take home. And I guess my summary to it all, like, it was really hard for me to learn how to ask for support, and I moved through the uncomfortability, and I move through it every day. Some days it'll be not so great, and I won't feel that I have the strength to reach out, and I would just challenge everyone to not think that they need to do it on their own. Absolutely, like you said, it takes a village. Yeah.
I love that. That's really honest, right? Like, that practice of learning to ask. It's great when you learn to ask, and then you can just ask at will. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Oh, here it comes. Here it comes, Carrie.
Carrie, do you have any examples? I know they're little. Do you have any examples yet of exposing your 3 and 5-year-old to your random acts of kindness?
Great question.
So good. Yes. Great question. And it's cool because this is one of my like I want to instill kindness in them. And how do I do this? And like, I'm so grateful to be part of these groups that kind of like force me, like I've elected to be part of them, but like I am being pushed to do things that I want to do, like it's funny how you need that push sometimes. And so absolutely I cut out 300 because they can't quite cut out their own hearts yet. So I cut out 300 hearts, and I wrote "You are loved" on them. And then we went to the local mall, and the kids were just like running around giving them out to people.
Oh,
and,
I love it.
Yeah, and I had this sweet little grade 8 boy come up to us, and he was like, I had seen him earlier on in the day, and he was just like, I'm so happy that you're doing this. Can I buy your kids ice cream? And then just being able to have that conversation with like, oh, why did he buy you ice cream, Sawyer and Wallace? And it's because he appreciates what we're doing as far as kindness goes. And that's how kindness works. You give it and you receive it, and it doesn't have to be received from the same source. But it was just such a beautiful example of how giving and receiving works, and how kindness can explode in an entire region. It's so interesting.
I'm so glad that I asked the question.
Always
Thank
great
you.
questions. Always great questions.
Great question. Yes, Lisa was right.
So one of the things that comes up for me with my kids that I didn't recognize, they watch, right? I have a quote and I'm not remembering it, so I won't say it right now. However, one of the things that I like to do is I just pay attention to people around me, especially when I'm at a restaurant. And if I see, well, there's a lot of things that come up for me when I watch other people at restaurants. And so if I see someone that maybe they're struggling, or like, often it could be a single parent, it seems, or a family with a bunch of kids, or someone that is younger with someone who's older. And so we'll just, take care of their bill, and we won't, say who we are. We just take care of their bill and watch. And so my kids have watched that their whole lives. And so it's to the point now where they point them out to me. They know who they want to support in a restaurant. And it just brings me such joy. They're like, Mom, can we buy that family's dinner, or can we buy his dinner? And then one time Dakota was like, I want to tell them I was Santa, like that it was Christmas time. And I was like, honey, that's not why we do it. She goes, but I really want to talk to them. And I was like, okay, honey, you can talk to them, but you don't need to tell them that we were the ones that bought their dinner. Like, you don't need to. And so she just went over there and was talking to them. And of course they asked, were you the one? And she was like, yes, I was, which was okay. It's okay to be acknowledged. And it was just beautiful. But I thank you for sharing what your children did. And now I'm inspired to cut out some hearts.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely the same. I love that. I love that one. And it's so easy. Like, it's so just like, you just throw it in there and it creates this beautiful bubble. Like, it's so awesome. I love that.
Lisa, I have to ask, I never realized that it could be considered a random act of kindness with my cards. I didn't even think about it that way.
When Wendy and I were away one time at a ranch, we were at a nearby hotel, and she was carrying these 2 boxes of cards with her that had not necessarily affirmations. Like, mine said, bring it up now. One of mine was like, bring it up now. So she had 2 boxes. One was, they're 2 separate themes.
Yeah. One was something about passion, and one is about your heart.
Oh, yeah. So she asked everybody to pick one from each box, and then I went around taking photos of people of
with their cards.
And everyone who picked up a card was moved by their cards, and then she allowed them to keep the cards. Like, this is what Wendy does. She's a random acts of kindness queen.
And I didn't think of it as acts of kindness. I thought of it as engaging.
All the time. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. So Celeste, I know.
Great. And I love how.
Yeah. I think children naturally have it in them, and they light up when you give them a safe space to just do what they really want to do, right? And so as adults, we learn not to do that. And then you have adults like Wendy who just keep doing it anyway because she's clear.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I think we're good for today. Like, thank you so much for the inputs on self-care as it relates to the topic of co-parenting, redefining what co-parenting might look like, and maybe giving some audience members like ideas on how to develop that, and really talking about self-care in a whole different way, plus random acts of kindness. So regardless of whenever, you have the power to do it whenever you want to do it, right? Any parting words for you ladies before we sign off?
Well, thank you, Carrie.
So beautiful. Yeah. What a great summary. Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today, Carrie. And
Thank
to
you
everybody,
so much.
comments below, you'll be able to reach her. I will put her links in below so that you can follow her when she gets her YouTube channel going. And
Perfect. Thank you.
yeah, no, for sure. Keep the random acts of kindness going, guys. Okay. Bye for now. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, guys.